Hello. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Feel that. That's my work. Feeling. Just being here. And that's hard for me right now because usually when I do this work, I am doing it as the healer. I'm not doing it as the lecturer or the person up here speaking. But I'm sharing with you today my experiences and how I've integrated the work of a mental health practitioner and the tools of yoga. I will always say I'm a very humble practitioner of yoga because I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly in my practice. In order to do that, I am consciously aware of where I am and feeling. And I went back in 1991 to graduate school to learn the Western model of psychology as a counselor in clinical psychology, only to be a better yoga teacher. Because I experienced myself going through these huge catharses, and I had witnessed my students at that time having these amazing releases emotionally, and it would take them by surprise. And I was able to hold that space, but I wanted cognitive learning skills. I wanted models to be able to reframe things for students, to bring them in a different place, and to hold that for them. In 1991, when I went back to graduate school, Time magazine came out with their headlines, Prozac, the wonder drug. At that same year that I was going back to learn tools to be somatically connected more to the physical body, we were introducing pharmaceuticals to actually cut off that experience. I am not saying pharmaceuticals are wrong, I am saying they're misused. My teacher would say that all yoga tools are like a knife. If we misuse them, we can harm ourselves and we can harm others. So today, the main body of my work is helping people and my clients reestablish a healthy balance of living as they slowly begin to detox from the over-medication of these pharmaceuticals. We have today an epidemic of misuse in these drugs because it was too convenient. Mental health at that time, in the late 90s, 2000, the mental health field, the budgets were cut. We went into an understanding that we would just buck up, face our problems, and unfortunately, there wasn't enough opportunity to embrace the awareness that in order to heal, sometimes we really have to sit in our sadness. We have to embrace the fact that there's grief. That maybe, just maybe, I'm witnessing that I've learned wrong. Maybe there's a place of acceptance, forgiveness, maybe uncertainty. The mind doesn't let you go to uncertainty. It only wants to fix the problem. So when we went into this world of pharmaceuticals, we disassociated ourselves more and more from the physical experience. So today as a yoga therapist, I am working with clients that are trying desperately to come back to a life of balance. And I work with psychiatrists, I work with medical doctors to help my clients ease the suffering of going off pharmaceuticals, which by going off increase anxiety and might increase the depression. So my work is to find balance in that. I have a client today that I'm going to discuss. Her name is Diane, and she came in about 1.5 years ago, and she was trying to get off her pharmaceuticals. I worked in association with a medical doctor with her, and I only do that because you can't get people off medication. I'm not licensed for that. And she came in having been traumatized and gone through a nervous breakdown or an anxiety panic attack. Now, panic attacks are quite common in our world today. And the first thing that happens is you go to the hospital and you're prescribed a pharmaceutical. Usually it's a benzo, a Xanax, or something that will calm that panic attack. Unfortunately, that pharmaceutical is highly addictive to the brain. The chemical component goes right into the nervous system, and you begin to want more of that drug. You then start to regulate the drug, maybe with some other pharmaceutical. So we begin to have a cocktail or a combination of these drugs. pretty soon we lose a connection to the actual experience of your own aliveness. I found that she came in, and the first thing she did was apologize to me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I want to meet somebody always at a heart-to-heart connection. She came in apologizing for herself, apologizing for not being enough, not knowing yoga, and that's where most people come to yoga. They're always afraid to come right in the door of yoga thinking they're never going to be good enough. So you meet at the level of where somebody is. And you don't try to fix people, you don't try to cure people, you try to offer an opportunity to experience something different. Maybe it's unfamiliar, maybe it's frightening to let go. And so what I have to do is hold the space of safety. I have to meet somebody at that level and be able to confidently hold them in developing trust. Now trust is not intellectual. If it was, we would all be more trusting. And love, unfortunately, is not intellectual. We teach it as an intellect, but it's an experience. So I have to get somebody to feel and relax enough so that they can awaken a sensation in their somatic experience. So that takes a willingness to be patient. I worked with her a year and a half. The first time she came in, you have to be establishing a relationship. You have to get somebody to experience maybe their own breath. When somebody is on antidepressants, the breath is very shallow. You know that when someone's anxious, it's very rapid. When somebody's depressed, there's very little breath. So what I want to do is create an awareness and bring space into the body for breath. In order to create space, I have to open the body, maybe doing the movement of asana, to create an awareness of how tight the shoulders are, how tight and gripping the belly is. You know, the side effects of these pharmaceutical drugs hold so much in that sympathetic nervous system. So the digestion is off. The side effects of headaches, the side effects of restriction in breath is amazing. They can't get a deep breath. So we start very simply, very slowly. So it took about a few months to get her to be comfortable enough on her own to start doing the breath. Then we started to introduce sound. And her favorite thing, she'd go around so hum, and she would do it all the time. It was so cute to see her do it. And at first her voice was all creaky and there was no sound coming out. And we gradually built on the sound. And then I introduced a way to reflect. So let's look at what's really happening, not in the rearview mirror. Let's not go back and analyze all the trauma you had that she did share. She had been to a psychologist, she had been to a therapist, talked about her traumatic sexual experience. She talked about all the discomfort in her physical body, but we looked at it from a perspective of let it go, let that go. Where are you right now? What's going on here right now? Bring in life, bring in that aliveness, feel it. It's somatic. So I work with a 5-dimensional system from the Krishnamacharya lineage. You work with the body. You work with that breath in the body, in the aliveness of this body, to feel the experience of what's being presented through the thought. And then take that thought, shift it, knowing that thought shifted the behaviors, and then the emotion. Where did that emotion rest? So that that mood changes. So now I have the parasympathetic nervous system. In that parasympathetic nervous system, we awaken consciousness. And in consciousness, I get you to feel something greater. Maybe something greater than the limits of the small mind. So the greatest gift I can give is the quality of my attention right in that moment. I hear your words. I'm listening to your thoughts. I feel your heart. So in that expansion of heart is your purusha. Maybe in that space there's something greater that you're linked to. And to develop that trust, to keep moving in that direction is yoga. Yoga is the movement forward. It's not going back and analyzing. Analyzing is paralysis. We are moving life through as we change samskaras, changing patterns of thought. And as a yoga therapist and a psychologist, I'm able to reframe those thoughts in a healthy way, to ground it, to be presented that maybe, just maybe, you learned wrong. And then take that thought and bring in what is positive, what is happening in your life in that aliveness. And so today, she is practicing yoga on her own. She is lessened her pharmaceutical. She is no longer on Clozapine and the Xanax. She has been able to know her moods by observing the moods as a witness. She's been able to sit in her sadness and remove all that tension in her physical body to focus. And with focusing, she's been able to make better choices. And she is living now in a way that I see joy. She comes in with a big smile, a big hug, and she feels safe. And that's the greatest gift you can give people, is that sense of well-being, that life is joyous. Thank you.
10:05.